we are going to be joined right now by Noam Moshe. He is a vulnerability researcher with Claroty's Team 82. Noam is here to present his findings on the Unitronics cyber attack. Hi, welcome.
Hey, hello, it's a pleasant to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. Tell me, what is the Unitronics attack and why do we need to care about it?
So basically in November late last year, we saw an attack by an APT on US-based water facilities. In this attack, specifically what was attacked is Unitronics PLCs, meaning a control that controls like physical process. And in this attack, the attackers basically went in on the devices, get access to these devices, and altered their project and code that is running on them, changing them to present a malicious message, basically saying they've been hacked.
And so what can you tell us about that? What can you tell us about how we can move forward?
So we took a look at this attack, and our goal was to basically develop some kind of forensic tools that could allow users that have been affected by this attack to A, possibly restore their processes, and B, maybe learn more about the attackers and be able to identify and basically decide who is the attacker and about the ecosystem of the attackers.
And Unitronics which is why an APT was attracted to them. Can you explain why they were such a useful target for an advanced?
Yes, so the reason for this attack is, of course, political reasons. I mean, Unitronics is an Israeli-made vendor. It is made in Israel. And in this case, specifically, the PLCs that were attacked mainly in the United States and in Israel at the start of the Israeli war. And the reason for this attack is very obvious. It was a political reason. Their goal was to basically bring alarm and tell people, hey, we demand you to stop it.
And why did they target this company? I mean, beyond being Israeli, what was was there a strategic reason beyond just a political messaging?
So their job was to spread fear and panic, because at the end of the day, these devices were used mainly in water facilities in the United States. Now, the minute people hear that their water facilities equipment was hacked into, like, it spreads panic in a minute, and indeed that was what happened. I mean, a lot of news agencies, a lot of media began covering this topic, saying, hey, this water treatment facilities were attacked, and it was not sure at the time what actually happened in the attack. I mean, was defacement, meaning changing the screen of the devices, the only thing that happened, or was something bigger happening behind the scenes, and maybe the attackers got involved with the actual physical process of water facilities.
And did they get involved in the physical processes? Was that what you found?
So from our findings, they mostly did just change the screen for the facilities. However, our job was not to find out what it did, but more who did it. We worked with identification. Our job was to try and help different agencies, specifically different people that were affected by this attack, to understand who did it and who stood behind the attack. And indeed, that's what we've been released. We released an open source platform that enables users to communicate with their Unitronics PLCs and basically connect to it and be able to extract forensic evidence from this embedded device closed ecosystem.
Wow, and so that forensic evidence then you can use
to attribute or do whatever. I mean, basically recover, and you will be able to know who is standing behind this attack. That's exactly the point. Now, we moved, because usually in the past, when we're talking even about ICS attack like Stuxnet or Triton, usually most forensic evidence was extracted from Windows machine. It could be logging, Windows log, network log, stuff like that. However, in this specific case, what was attacked was directly the PLC. So the only two moving parts was the PLC and the attacker's computer, meaning we could not extract some kind of logs or data about the attack from network or from basically Windows log. Instead, we had to look and deep dive into the PLC itself, which once again is very closed, very embedded, low-level system, and try and find different structures and data that could give us various artifacts about the attack.
What is sort of the nightmare scenario? Paint for us the picture that if these vulnerabilities were able to be exploited and make physical impacts, what would they be able to do?
So the vulnerability here were two. First of all, the attackers noted of many internet exposed devices that basically have an internet IP address, meaning everyone on the internet can simply connect to them. Also, not only that, but they exploited the vulnerability of weak authentication in these devices. And the minute they use these two, they could basically fully control every internet-facing devices. Now, we are talking about hundreds and hundreds of different devices, which, once again, it's not a computer, it's a PLC, meaning it somehow controls a physical process.
PLC, which stands for?
Programmable Logic Controller. Basically, it enables you to build logic, to download logic to it, which controls some kind of physical process, in this case, water treatment facilities. So, by attacking this PLC, they could get involved in the whole process this PLC, Programmable Logic Controller, controls. And that way they could have actual physical effects.
On how water is treated or distributed.
Yeah, in any industry that this PLC is used in, they could have physical effect, which is why it's so critical, because we are not talking only about like machines, computers, network. We are actually talking about a physical process that could be endangered by this attack.
It seems to me this is one of the first instances I've heard of there being a true physical threat. I mean, we talked a lot about cybersecurity as physical security, but it does seem like we've crossed a Rubicon, so to speak, on this.
Well, that's the case in ICS and OT security, because when we're talking about OT and PLCs and stuff like that, we are talking about the physical realm. And usually when we're talking about an OT attack, OT malware, it could be Stuxnet, right, and all of the big names like this, and of course this case right here, we are talking about moving from the computer realm to the physical realm, which is where the danger lies.
Sort of that handoff between the two.
Exactly, because they control physical processes in the physical world.
So what is the wider fix? Is this just a standard cybersecurity hygiene thing? Is there an evolution that needs to happen with this equipment and their controllers?
So first of all, I mean, I believe that no device should be internet exposed. I mean, simply putting a device on the internet, allowing anyone to connect to it, is super dangerous and should never be done. However, if we're talking about after the incident response, currently this field in OT security is way less developed. We don't have event log, we don't have event viewer. I mean, basically every device and every vendor does whatever they want to, and there is no like regulation, restriction, and maybe stuff like that. Where you
can access that forensic evidence.
Exactly, and that's why we developed our tool. Our goal is basically tell the community, hey, here is a tool that allows you to connect and extract forensic evidence from your PLC. Let's do it widely. Let's not use it only in this specific PLC. Let's maybe showcase that this is a needed thing, a needed feature for better visibility and better logging to be able to post-mortem do instant response.
How difficult do you estimate, or in your experience, or do you estimate it will continue to be to get these very legacy, standard infrastructure sorts of aging systems in a lot of cases? What is your prognosis for our ability to ramp that up with enough cybersecurity to secure them?
Well, it's tough because these devices were built not in security in mind. I mean, we're talking about the world where everything was serially connected, not internet connected.
Right.
So everything was more secure by design. However, that's no longer the case. And a lot of manufacturers are starting to move and realize it and starting to add security features and security regulations. However, for older devices like the Unitronics Vision that was attacked, that's tough. And we usually see that they have very, very weak security features, like no authentication, no encryption, no nothing. And this is why these are valid attacks, and we see them being targeted, actively targeted widely in the industry because they are so vulnerable. Now, I do see that the vendors are moving towards improvements in the newer versions. However, for all devices or unpatched devices, this is very, very tough, and that's when the OT guys should do basically network hygiene, ACL, and that's the OT persons should do it to better improve themselves and the networks.
Makes sense. Can you tell our audience where they can catch your briefing and where maybe they can take a look at the tool that you all are offering?
So we are releasing it all under our blog and under our GitHub, under Claroty Team 82. We have a very good blog about this research. Our briefing have been 2 hours ago, so feel free to watch it in the VOD or either on YouTube on Black Hat. However, you can read our blog on Claroty Team 82 and feel free to contribute to the open source tool.
Thank you so much, Noam Moshe from Claroty 82. We very much appreciate you and your important work that you're doing, and thanks for stopping by the news desk.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.